it's 5:30. So we'll call the Board of Works meeting to order, and we'll have a roll call.
Mary Amy,
Here.
Tom Lewis, Karen Gracious.
If you've had a chance to look at the minutes of January the 13th, I would entertain a motion to present them as presented. Are there any questions? A motion to accept as presented.
And I'll second.
Second. All fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passed. First on the agenda is Ms. Segasser on the EDA RLF report.
Thank you. I have some. Do you need, would you like one?
I have one, thank you.
I thought you did. I asked because I had. This is the EDA revolving loan fund, which actually your semi-annual report, but what they've requested is for an annual report of 2019. So at some point last year, we did a report for a portion of 2019, and they were asking us to do an entire year. It is something that with your EDA grant that the city received some time ago, that they determine, I think on an annual basis, how often you need to submit reports. Right now, we're still on a semi-annual report basis, but if you look at this, it does include all of 2019, so that's a little bit confusing to me, and when they call it a semi-annual report, and it covers the entire year, so I just wanted to explain that. The process in the past with this is that the clerk treasurer's office receives the payments from the people that have loans, and then gives me copies of everything that was either paid in or paid out, and then I keep track of it as well as clerk treasurer's office, and then at the period end, we get together and make sure that the numbers match up. The good news is the numbers match up. I don't have any bad news. It's just throw that out. But the good news is the numbers all match up, which is sometimes it's a little harder than others to get those to match just for various reasons. And sometimes EDA changes the reporting documents. And so that has kind of been happening the last few times that they have asked us to report things in different ways, which causes us to refigure, in particular Tish to refigure a very intricate spreadsheet that she uses. The only things that I can tell you is that right now we are in compliance with your plan and with their EDA's assessment of what they would like, the progress they would like to see. On the second page though, this is something that we look at under Part 4, risk scoring measures. D, liquidity. There's an allowable cash percentage that EDA will allow you to have, and they figure that number based on their whole portfolio of Chicago regional loans, and they feel that that cash percentage should be 34%, of which cash you should have on hand at any given time to loan. We have exceeded that by 3.5% for about 2 months. In the past, and I know that you were all on council and you may have heard about this before, in the past, there was something called sequestration, that if you exceeded, I think it was 20% of your allowable cash percentage over a certain period of time, the EDA would sequester some of that money. They have done away with sequestration and have gone to this instead. We haven't been to the point where we submitted a report that was over that annual cash percentage. I'm not sure what is going to come of you being over that for 2 months. But in the past, we would also let the administration know, I think we're going to be over. Tish does a very good job of being able to project that if everyone pays their loans, what that amount might be. And so it might be something to think about as far as in the past, we've had to kind of put the word out to solicit that we had money that we needed.
Loan money. We need to loan some money.
You possibly need to loan some money. Again, I'm not sure what time frame EDA will allow you to be over that. It was just 2 months, and this is, report would have been for 6 months. So it was just 2 months of that. So this report's due to EDA by the end of this month, so they usually review that and get back with us if there's any issue fairly quickly. So I would like to at least get some feedback from them as to what this means, since we've never had this happen under the new system, and then report back to you to let you know if that's something we should be concerned about, or if we need to run doubts, if that's appropriate or acceptable. Do you have anything you'd like to add about that, Tish? Oh, rules? Jeez. Flashback, I think I'm on TV. So the other thing to be mindful of is that the city has a few revolving loan funds. One is EDA funded and is kept separate and has specific stringent rules and requirements. So a lot of the loans that were done in the past were for working capital, which doesn't trigger a lot of the federal rules and requirements. If you were doing anything that involved construction, then there might be environmental procedures that have to go through prior to agreeing to lend that money to someone. So I would suggest that if you do have someone that wants to borrow money from that fund in particular, that we find out, and generally in the application you know what they're going to want to use the money for, that we at least look at that to make sure that it fits all the rules and requirements prior to lending the money to them, because they may have to have, if they were doing a building renovation, if it's a historic building, they have to go through the DNR, the State Historic Preservation Office, and get clearance before they do that. If it's construction, then there's also Dave's vacant wages that would be involved, and there have been very little, I think maybe one that's actually in the 25 years that I've dealt with this, that was for construction. And we had to do interim construction payments, and there's just a variety of things that come into play for different types of uses. So just wanted you to be mindful of that, because I hate for city council to approve a loan and then find out, oh gosh, well, we've got to go through all these processes now before.
We have two separate EDA loans, is that what it is? Or
There were
one
two.
EDA and one farmer or something?
Originally, there was a $200,000 loan that the city received. And that might have been in the late 80s. That was before my time. Then in 1992, I believe the city received recapitalization of $300,000. Excuse me, it's probably 93 or 94, as a result of the 92 flooding that the city had. And so late, probably in 94, middle of 94, then that $300,000 was to be used to assist businesses that were affected by the flooding. So the construction loan that I talked about, that was for Indiana Bottle long ago, because they built a facility, but they had to build it up out of the floodplain, so they had to build it up a certain number of feet. So after some time, we did have to submit two separate reports and keep those funds separate. After some time, EDA allowed the city to combine those into one. So on the report, there's actually two different grant numbers. On the very first page, on the right-hand side, it says EDA award number. There are two different grant numbers there. But it's actually all kept as one now and reported on as one.
Okay, okay. So if I understand this correctly, then we have portion to loan out. Cash in 171,814 in D, current balance, is that correct?
No, that's what it says, but that's not correct.
Okay.
Something unique about the program, it's been off ever since they computerized it. And it stays off $30-something thousand every month. So we really only have like 140. But they give us no way to fix it on their side. So we just maintain this error that's been there for 20-something years. And we just keep turning in the report with the wrong number, and we ask every time they change the report, is there a way to fix it? And No, they just keep letting it go. So Terry, whatever the fund report said this month for what we list as the city county EDA, I think it was around 140 something is what we had in there this month.
If everyone that is paying the servicing the debt that they have, what is the monthly income back into this account? You know offhand?
No, but I can tell you. I can tell, we have two loan funds. This is the EDA one, and then we have the non-federal fund, which we call the Economic and Industrial Development Fund. There are 16 people paying into those right now. Of that, probably 12 of those are monthlies, and 3 or 4 of them are quarterlies. And
Do you think it would be a mean of about 20,000 a month? It would be that high? You think?
no, because some of them are, $500. Yeah, most of them are pretty small. I can look it up here in just a second and tell you if you want to know. Well, heck, here's our fund report over
I
here.
mean, we're already a little bit over. It looks like that we are approximately.
The Economic and Industrial Development Fund took in $82,000 in 2019, and the city county. And again, we have one loan that's going to be paid off, I think, next month. That's maybe a $10,000 a quarter payment.
And we have one, that is
91,000 last year. So
So that's about 15.
yeah, and so, but like I said, one of them's getting ready to go. That's 10,000, so that's probably going to take 20,000 off of that.
Okay. Well, at least we have some idea. We have some money to lend to those wanting to come and open up a new business or something.
And there's obviously you have a revolving loan fund board that these go before first, and then with the EDA funds in particular, there's a specific plan that has to be approved by EDA, and so there's specific guidelines, rules, and requirements. It goes through all the federal rules and requirements, depending on the type of loan and what the project is. So it is certainly more restrictive than the other loan fund.
So just to make sure I understood correctly, we got 200,000 back way back, and then another approximately 300,000. So that's kind of this 431,000. And then is the local match the 50,000 the cities? We put that.
Put that in the original.
So this basically, the intent is just to keep this.
Yes. To
the
keep it
same.
revolving, yes, is to keep bringing it in and loaning it out. That's why they don't want you to go above whatever limit they set, so that you don't sit on it. They want it to come in and out. Total, the city has loaned out over $3.2 million since the beginning, since the inception of it, which would have been in, I've got the first one in 1991, that first 200,000.
Another question on the second page, the assets, default rate, loan write-off, dollars write-off.
Those are all embedded formulas based on the numbers that we put in to the report.
So is that telling me that 22.9% of the loans have defaulted?
I have to look at the instruction to see exactly which one that pertains to. Just bear with me a second. When they changed those, then it changes all of the formulas as well. So I just look at the instructions every time I need to do it, which in turn changes Tish's spreadsheet.
Tom, some of those formulas are based on weight, on how many dollars, and some of them are based on actual loans. So that formula, that might be 22% of 100 loans, or that might be 22% of a dollar amount. I'm not
It's
sure.
this is the percentage of principal outstanding and loans in default. So that would be in the top number 3 delinquent loans, loans in default number 3 of $100,000, and that's divided by the principal outstanding for all active loans. So that divides 100,000 by the principal outstanding for all active loans, which would be in line 4 at 286, 246.92.
What qualifies as default rather than a loan write-off?
Well, the default is if they are behind in their payments, and so that puts them in default. And at some point in time, if they've been in default long enough, then we would go, and that you may have recalled some of that, we go before the city council and ask for those loans to be written off. If every attempt has been made to get someone to pay, and the one that is in default, now ask Tish to correct me if I'm wrong, efforts have been made to get them to rectify that.
Okay, and so then the loan write-off ratio is the ratio of the number of loans, and the dollars is the ratio of the dollars, is that
Yes.
correct?
I'm gonna look and just make sure.
Approximately.
I would guess that, but like on that rate that you would,
Well, these are EDA formulas and EDA rules, so the way Tish or I might calculate it are certainly different than how they calculate it. So the number of loans written off divided by the number of inactive loans, which are loans that are written off or fully repaid. And then dollars written off are loan losses divided by the difference between the dollars loan and the total principal outstanding. I think sometimes we're not comparing apples to apples. So it's hard to answer that question.
I hear you.
So again, it's as they change those, they change the rates. It's supposed to be better. I think this interpretation that they are currently using and that you have to use right now is probably the fairest interpretation. Does that be? We don't have sequestration, and in the past, I think the city was skirting on the edge of that sequestration all the time. With this, we haven't. I mean, this is the first time in probably 2 years, maybe, that we've been using this new, various forms of this new report, that we've come close to that. So this is better, I think, as far as an overall judge of the portfolio or overall measurement, but.
So bottom line, we're in good shape, and we got money to loan, is that correct?
You've got money in a loan. There's one loan that's in default that, in the past, once your attorney has decided that he's exhausted all the possibilities, then it would be presented to write off. And I don't think we've exhausted all possibilities yet. So we just keep plugging away at that, see if we can get that one back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So do we need to sign down here?
It's actually more of an electronic thing. So, but what in the past, and we can handle this however you like, but in the past, I would present it to the Board of Works. The Board of Works would then approve the report.
Okay.
And then we would send something on to the City Council just for their information. And I would send a cover letter to them along with the report stating that it was approved and that, I can't remember exactly what it says, but we went through this process just giving them an update because they also have to be aware of what's going on.
Thank you. Then do I have a motion to approve this report as presented?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Cast in favor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, I would like to let the board know too that Jill recently changed companies that she works for, and this was one that her own company did not want to keep. Yeah, we're quite glad for her to take it with her, so we're glad that her and Tish can turn in that number, and Catherine Kavanaugh or whatever,
Yes.
yeah, we'll accept it.
Yes.
Isn't that her name? What is her name?
Canavan, and here it
Yeah.
is. I apologize. I didn't ask.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Economic development strategy specialist.
That's right. And this
Well, we got a
group is very,
specialist.
this group is very good. I've got to be 2-3 times. Next, we have department heads. But, Chief, you want to go first?
Sure. We've got a few things. The first thing is, I'm asking the board, we had a phone conversation, I did with all three of you, I'd like the board to approve me hiring Andy Brown effective January 26th, which was yesterday, as a rookie patrolman.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will like sign. Patient. Andy Brown is a Marine veteran,
Oh.
and real nice guy, but certainly up for the opportunity.
He's 27 years old, so he's going to do a good job. I had somebody he's from Washington County, somebody from Washington County Sheriff Department's on the drug task force. They were using our building to stage for an operation, and he came up and said, man, we really wanted him over there. So that made me feel better too. Last week, yeah, they had with someone else, their merit board makes the decision over there.
And married with 3 children?
Married with 3 children, 2 of them are twins,
Yeah,
young kids.
real nice guy.
Chief, that would be as a probationary, 1-year period,
Yeah.
And 1 year probation.
to make sure that reflected in minutes.
Dan did me great on the side for now for him.
Ladies.
So, like in the past, I forgot, which I almost did here. I'd like to ask for permission for $50 phone side for Mr. Brown. I'll make sure that he gets his receipt. I turned all the other phone receipts in today. Of course, I didn't get it, so but I'll make sure we get that to Jan's office. If I can get the board to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Effective February.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And then a couple other things just for housekeeping, so you know what's going on, to keep the board in the loop here. I've started the hiring process to replace Gibson. We're advertising, we have to advertise at least 2 weeks. So I think my cutoff is February 14th for that, to take applications. And also, I always let the board know when we start taking bids for vehicles, and I'm gonna start that process probably this week or the beginning of next week.
Do you get vehicles every year?
Yes, yeah, we've normally bought 2, there's been times we bought 3, we've had extra money. We're up to 17, we're full staff, up to 17 officers, which is fairly new for us. So I'm afraid we're going to have to start looking at 3 vehicles a year to keep the rotation. We're switching out about every 7 years of vehicles, and I hired 3 more. I'm just afraid we're going to have to get more. We're looking at 7, 8, 9 years in these vehicles, that's a long time.
How many miles are typically on them?
And a trade-in, I would say they're 100 or under.
Okay.
Yeah, the guys are pretty good. It may change now, but we're keeping them.
Yeah.
That's what we're.
How many of those are high-speed chases?
Well, when I first took over as chief, we didn't have all police.
Yeah.
Vehicles, so that's the first thing I did, just for safety reasons. So they're about, probably, I think we have fleets about 18, because we keep 1 pool car, because they're constantly down. We've got a lot of problems with cars, we don't know why. I would say that I think we're 14 out of 17 are Dodge Chargers,
Police package.
police package. They're all police package, every vehicle has a police package. That's all I have there.
Thank you.
I had a handful of sewer adjustments there for you guys to sign off on. And that's really all I've got for you guys. We're mailing utility bills out on Wednesday for the February billing. So people should receive those around the first of the month.
Is there a dollar line with these, a dollar amount with these?
No, those will be figured once we get their averages.
You figure them?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So that one receipt attached with it is just.
No,
proof?
that's just proof that they have fixed their
Just
issue.
anyone down here, all 3 of them just sign on that pretty file.
In the past, you guys typically just sign off on them.
Okay. All of a sudden.
Anything else in the utilities? Bink?
Need to ask the board for approval of Wyatt Pinkley's clothing allowance. He doesn't meet the handbook requirements for that, but OSHA 1910-269 requires that all PPE be purchased by the employer, and if our clothing is an integral part of the PPE, as stated in 1910-269. So to keep us out of violation, we have to put in a clothing allowance. But typically this this is handled to a variance on the board. That's what I'm asking for now.
What doesn't allow them to require, what does not allow?
1910-269 governs what we have to wear. What on the the handbook doesn't allow
I see,
it. The handbook stipulates they must be here for a year.
I see.
You know, it's a,
And this clothing is, you want to explain to the board about the clothing?
at one time we had a uniform company, and then we had an IRS who was unique to Indiana, that decided if you're not ashamed to be seen in your clothes outside of work time, then it's a taxable fringe benefit. Every surrounding state said she was nuts. I talked to the lady, and I asked her, and you're in direct violation of OSHA 1910-269, and she goes, I don't care, it's not my problem. My problem is if you can wear these clothes after work and not be embarrassed to be seen in them, then it's a fringe benefit which shall be taxed. So I said, you're telling me if I put my guy in pink striped suits that they want to pay taxes on them? She said, that is correct. And I proceeded to tell her she was insane, because years ago we've had a lot of issues with safety glasses. The way the industry, construction in general, solved that is they make safety glasses look nice on you now. Now you don't have trouble getting people to wear them. You have trouble because everybody wants to make sure they get some.
But aren't the clothing a special type of clothing?
Yes, they're rated clothing that has to be, or if we wear the number 2, it has to be a certain calorie count, because what we work in, if there's has to be figured what the energy incident of a fault occurring on what we work, how much we will be exposed to. And we have to wear a certain type of clothes so it don't melt to you, it don't stick to you. And the linemen of years past would, if they had a nylon shirt on and it was blue, they had a blue tattoo the rest of their life because it just melted into their skin, the heat energy that comes off of it.
And that's what I was wanting to be here.
Yes, it is necessary. The law stipulates, or the rules of OSHA stipulates, that you cannot wear anything that will provide greater harm. But that means that your outer garments, the guys have to buy FR jackets, coveralls. We do go ahead and furnish them hats or toboggans that's going to be FR rated. And to give you an idea of this FR clothing, this shirt's about $70, pair of pants $70 to $90. It's just, they're expensive.
Is the clothing allowance $860, is that what it is?
The clothing allowance, when this all came up, and Jan's defense why we got away from uniforms was because of the IRS issue. And Jan came to me and said, how much you need for your guys? So we figured out a set of uniforms at that time. That's been several years back. We've never raised it. Told her $850 to buy the shirts, a jacket every other year, shirts, and pants. And then every third year something maybe big. Well, to my surprise, when Jan issued those checks, she took tax out. So I showed up in Jan's office promptly. Yes, and that's how Jan was addressing the IRS issue, which worked fine. Took care of that problem. But I showed up at Jan's office the next day, not very pleased. Tish probably remembers me squalling about, I told you I need $850. I don't care what you write the check for, I need $850. So we solved the issue by buying the shirts. The department each year will buy 5 shirts for each guy, and that's why he has a uniform shirt. He had his FR clothing from the schooling he went to, so he already had that. That got him through this year. But we buy the shirts so we're all identical, so when someone sees us in the backyard, they know it's electric department. It's not a hodgepodge of different clothes and shirts. The guys out of that money, and that made up the difference I needed for the shortfall from $850 being taxed. The nice thing about buying the shirts like that, it does keep us all looking the same, looking uniformed.
And that's part of professionalism, is looking the way as well as the safety. So do I have a motion to move forward?
I'll make the motion.
What,
He's missing it by about 3 weeks is probably what the whole conversation is about. Being here a year to be awarded, they say they have to be here a year.
person?
Yes, one person, it's his son,
That's
wife.
what I missed, okay.
Yes,
I'll second that.
yeah.
All in favor, say
Yeah,
aye.
we called that for business for 3 weeks, yeah.
I think the mayor wanted to explain why we would make this exception.
Okay, you got the explanation, I just.
Yeah, it was just per the salary ordinance, it says after they've been here a year.
So unanimous? Unanimous. Okay, well, that, Mickey, anything else?
The lights at Greenway and Willow Shore have been converted over to our LED lamps. Now Jackson County will be billing the city at the consumption of one lamp multiplied by the total number of lamps, which because they're all 27 watts, they don't burn that much. The city took over Willow Shore, if I understand right, took over that street, and in doing so inherited the street lights on it. Jackson County had been charging them, they set a meter, you pay a base meter rate plus consumption. So in doing what we worked out with them, we knocked that price on what they had been paying. Stacy can tell you on as far as just having meter Jackson County, what, like $30 or something? 27. So it won't be that now. But anyway, that project's completed. They should be contacting, I'm presuming, the utility office with what that billing will be for those streetlights.
So, Jackson County still has all the service to those residents there. We're just providing
Streetlights,
streetlights.
yeah, because the city took over the streets in that area.
Think, would that be in addition to the one they already bill us for Greenway, or are they just changing that, we get a bill for Greenway that we pay monthly, the Board of Works does?
Yes, that will go away.
Okay,
That was the per lamp at their 100 watt lamp price. Now it would be billed for those 27 watts actual consumption.
just one bill though will be coming. How many, that's how many we're looking for? One?
Yes, it should be one bill.
Okay, thanks.
Lights at 31 and 56. The state, when they rebuilt that intersection, took down the high mast, took down our support structures. Actually, their support structures, we had our lights located on. I received a few complaints and concerns about that intersection not being well lit now. It's not lit at all, other than businesses on the corner. So we'll be installing 2 lights, one on the Ace Hardware corner, which will be on the east side of 31, and then on the north side, be on the west side of 31, with the old stoplight liquor. Those will be the equivalent of the old 400 watt high pressure sodiums. That's 100 something watt LEDs, and we'll see how that lights that intersection if that takes that away. There are 4 lights that were in that area previously, but where they took down those 2 high masts, we're committed to putting something up for our citizens to light.
Was that stray light lamp, that 400 watt sodium, is that what you're talking about?
No 400 watt high pressure sodiums, industry standard, the orange lights, if you will, that you see.
How many of those stray lights do you still have? Very many?
Really not very many now. If I was guessing, I'd say less than 50, less than 30 perhaps.
Are the LED lights expensive to purchase?
The LEDs,
Yeah. The new ones you're putting in?
they're probably around 400 or 500 feet.
Okay. So not 12?
No, sir.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. No, they put out a nice white light everywhere.
It does. Puts up nice.
Can you do something about the lane changes there?
If I could, I would. It's nice of the state. Scott, maybe you could thank them for the drag strip they built.
Leave them alone. Leave them alone.
You're the first person I've heard that likes it.
If you're sitting on 50, do you like those lanes like that?
Yes.
I've gotten used
I
to
get
it.
right through town on Friday before I be back up on the road somewhere. I get through. Now I go straight through town.
Well, that's one I've heard likes it.
What else you got, Pete?
The apprentice top-out test from IMEA, which we have a couple of apprentices in IMEA right now, we usually run 1 or 2 through, that if they've requested that we can move it to Scottsburg from Lawrenceburg. I sat on the safety and training committee as well as their board of directors and invited them to perhaps have it, because we have the poles set up out at the science park, and they said they would very much like that. I would like the board's approval that we do that for them. What it amounts to is they will bring in the apprentices. The top-out test involves skill test climbing. one, it saves us money, we don't have to send apprentices out of town. And two, it generates, people coming in town to take the test, staying at the hotels, typically about 7 or 8 go through each year. But the Lyman Rodeo that was being held at Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and I'm sure everyone remembers, we had the IMEA Rodeo in 2015, which today is still the best they have. But it evolved into a different type of rodeo, which was inviting people from California and everywhere else. But anyway, that's going away. Lawrenceburg has some issues, and that's going away. So we'd like to incorporate the rodeo back into the top-out test, and that would also bring people into Scottsburg. But the details all have to be worked out. This year will probably just be a simplified version of the rodeo, because it takes a bit of time to get that planned all the way out. But I've got interested people say, hey, we'd still like to bring a team down and compete and get together like a company picnic type atmosphere. But I'd like the board to approve me being able to use that field for that, where we've got our whole set up.
Anybody have any problem with that?
And I don't think we need official action, just the blessing would be fine.
I don't see any objection to that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Last thing, well, two things actually, we got a meeting with Jim Pack, but we'll bring that to the board after we've had that meeting.
Okay.
And the other one's the rail crossings, the utilities that cross the rails, and this is all other departments other than mine. I don't know if, I know Gasser Engineering forwarded to Kerry Thompson's office and mine that we've had issues with the rail crossings. They charged us for years everywhere we crossed. And I took to Kerry where the Indiana Supreme Court back in 2000 something ruled that they can't do that if we're crossing our utilities in the road easement. So we just quit paying. Well, this is resurfaced after we had to get the water line underneath, and it's turning, apparently nobody took notes and they're trying to build us again. So it's going back and forth a little bit. I don't know what Kerry has done with it. I've not seen any of his responses. But it comes down to make the board aware that the utilities that do cross in a public right of way, as in a road, we do not have to pay. The thing we want to be careful with, the railroad coming through here offering a couple $1,000 each to close down a couple of our road crossings. They'll make that money back the first year. It cost them $2,000 to cross that track a year. So we want to be careful of that. But I do want to bring it to the board's attention that that is resurfaced with the railroad, that they are looking to find out how many crossings we got, which is legitimate. But be careful and don't let them start charging us for them. That's probably plenty. I mean, I told you I'd be shorter and longer, so I apologize.
So they're charging you actually for airspace and your lines go across their property?
Yes. The sad part is all that land was probably given to them in the 1800s, but they don't care. If it goes under, it's also charged. And they're listing 2 of my main lines coming out, South Main Sub is inactive. They really don't want to put back on those. They'll find out real quick that they are active. So I don't know what's broke down in their paperwork, what's going on with them. And I've got another meeting at 6 o'clock. I think I've run past. I'm going to
Thank you,
excuse
Pete.
myself and go to bed.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And all Scottsburg Electric.
What's that?
I said, and all of Scottsburg Electric.
Yeah.
You
They're
actually
good
did a
for
great
it. We
job.
like them.
They
We like the raw man cousins.
Thank you. Ms. Stacy, thank you.
I don't have anything to present other than that we will have a new fiber customer hooked up by the end of the week. So that's good news. And as of February, we'll have 2 large customers being billed out for fiber. So that's good news.
I was at this Memorial Boot Camp and huge push to continue trying to take internet in rural areas. And so I think there's about, 14% of the state of Indiana not being serviced by any type of internet. So,
And that's percentages more.
is it more than that?
I think so based on mapping because they all use the same FCC mapping that I've had.
I was surprised. Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you. Jess?
Okay. First thing is attached to your agenda is a copy of the contract for management of Mid-America Science
our last meeting. However, Carrie has sent me a revised agreement that he would like for you guys to approve. And the changes from the earlier draft are the contract is to be signed by all of the Economic Development Corporation members instead of an executive director. It clarifies that services for the Skill Up grant go to the conclusion of the grant, not just till a specified date. And the third is it clarifies that the full payment, the monthly payment that you would pay totaling up to $16,250 is the only payment for the calendar year 2020. So stating that that monthly payment will be paid up to that amount and no more will be paid throughout that year. So he would like for you guys to approve the revised agreement for us to submit to them.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor, say aye.
And Jan has the copies for you guys to sign on that again.
This.
And then, while you guys are signing that, the other thing that I have is, and I have spoke with the mayor about this. Last time I approved getting Harley transferred from the mayor's field assistant to the wastewater treatment plant closed circuit TV tech inspector position. We would like to have it approved to change him from the wastewater closed circuit TV tech inspector to the wastewater maintenance position. Effective today's date, if you guys would be willing to make that.
He is not just filming, he's also running excavators.
No.
This is the new guy that's been transferred. In other words, he was, no, and that boy's been out there today, he's had a major road collapse, on Montgomery Street. And so Harley's been there, the new guy's been there, and both are showing good skill sets and good work.
We need a motion to promote him from closed circuit TV tech inspector to wastewater maintenance position.
Second. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Let me just say one thing else. He's also, we've lost basically the plant manager there, Jason Rhodes, retired, and then so did Jared Lightsey. It was a class 4 license. So Harley as well is studying to get his class 1 license now as well. So you have to be under an intern for a year. So he's there learning to do the labs right now, but also in the field work. And he's, I'm sure his dad said he wanted back since he was 4 years old, so they can scratch your back with it. So there's a lot of skill sets in there.
How many classes are there? 4?
From Jared to senior got to remember, they're operating just like they operate. He was Jared's class 4. So that's what.
That's all I have.
Okay. Announcements.
We got two, she got, they got
Slide
slide.
in.
Said
Right
they
in.
did, yeah.
Okay, I have one item. Each year, for the past, this would be the 8th year, the city has contributed to the employees' HSA. If the employees which have, employees who have elected an HSA health insurance, and you may have remembered this when you were in council, that if you agree to match $750, the city will match $750. So we do this once a year, and I would like permission for us to pay all employees who are eligible for that on the next payroll, which would be the first one in February. It's $750 per employee, and they have to match $750 in order to receive the $750 on the city side. I can tell you, it was $48,000 is what paid for it last year, because we have people who aren't on the HSA, and we have people who don't participate in the match. So there's,
Coming back from this boot camp, they have this AIM has their own, and that's part of the
this got started actually before we began to participate with them. We had a situation where they were gonna do a 30% health insurance increase. Our employees had like a $250 deductible. And at that time, the deductible was only $1,500, but it was gonna save us 30%. I shared with you earlier, we spent about $900,000 on health insurance a year, so 30% is a lot of money. So what we were able to do is the employees agreed to take the HSA, a much higher deductible, keep the rates about the same, and then we paid $750 in. So it was a win-win for everyone. Now, since then, the employees have gotten to raise that deductible from $1,500 to, $2,600 or whatever it is now. $4,350. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. That's never going down. Now with AIM, we switched about halfway through this. We've been with AIM maybe 4 years, and we have been very fortunate that the only thing we've had to do is change the deductible. We haven't had the huge rate increases that other people do. In this past year, we were just given a 1%.
And this is sort of multiple cities joining together to put all of our employees in there, as many as we can, to get the best rates.
It's a medical trust, yeah, that's what it's called.
So you need a motion to approve.
Yes.
Yes, we have a motion to approve. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Aye, all in favor. Unanimous.
Okay, and I have got, I just need approval to pay the claims as presented, and I need to be sure we get all these signed.
All these. Now, these claims pretty well are last month's. There's nothing here for January. We're actually kind of approving claims. I guess because of one time they came in.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I saw a bunch of claims in there that's basically December claims.
Yes. There's still a lot of our monthly vendors, people who pay monthly, this would be, we have them in there, that would be December.
We're still in January, so I mean, somebody bought something locally, and they'll
Yes.
come in and make it through, so we probably have some, but most of it is probably since then.
No fixed assets, that's how we keep up with what we need to report to insurance.
And we have to report our fixed assets to the state annually, and so they're slippery little noodles, and it's hard to keep track of them, so we do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we have a Walmart, I must have got a whole record, and they don't have any either, they will be. When we go back through them, so we go through them again, to be sure all the claims that are listed on here are in the stack we have before we file them in our drawer.
And they want us to sign each one of those.
This was,
Yeah, we need a motion to approve these, and, again, this is kind of an approval that none of us were there, so, Trustee Jan, I've pretty well gone through them, I don't know if you guys have gone through them as well, but.
It'll be fine, we'll have them in here, and y'all can just,
they'll be ready Monday morning, and if you tell us the time, we'll make sure they're all nice and neat. 5 o'clock in the morning? Okay.
I think
I'm
you
gonna give you,
did,
I'll give you the key.
I will come in,
Motion to approve.
and I'll say,
Second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Doesn't matter what we sign.
No.
just, and I have a couple more vouchers here that I would ask the board to approve. This, as the mayor reported, Jared Gladstein is no longer with the city, so we did have a payout of his sick days that he had accumulated over the time he'd been with us, and his supervisor has approved all that, so I would need you to, you will approve that, and then also Tim Hall with the animal has a sellback of 5 days.
This is accordance with the handbook,
Yes.
which the handbook is being reviewed.
The handbook is being reviewed. And,
So it's just two different ones.
Just, or just to,
so I guess this first one is on the wastewater treatment, so that'll come right out of wastewater treatment.
yes, yes.
So, yeah, it's the sick days vacation days as well.
Yes,
So you got 45 days of sick days and 20 days of vacation.
at 85%.
35%, totaling $11,030.60. Yep, yep. So I have a motion to, second. All in favor, say aye. Unanimous. And
Tim Hall,
Tim Hall,
5
I'd
days.
like to sell 5 vacation days back. And, $7.60. So we have to change this, we're given kind of a year to say this is something's going to pay. So, motion to, second. Give us the aye. Unanimous.
Please, just on the out, anywhere down there, it's fine. And that's all I have. That was where we owe him, we don't pay withheld, so, yes, if you would sign that also, please. We get withheld insurance that we have to repay him.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else to come before this board?
I just want to say, that last week, February, I'm not going to be here, so if you want to change the meeting, or you'll have a form without me, I'm not, just want to let it know.
Okay.
So you decide that later.
Okay. Karen, do you have anything else? Okay, if nothing else before the board, we are actually, I have 6:23. Exactly. So we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Make the motion, Karen made the motion.
Yeah, I'll leave till the next meeting.
Yeah.